G'day, it's Joe Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and I'm here at Absolute MMA in Collingwood, far away from where I live, talking to Mr. Joseph Luciano, not so far away from where you live. Joey, it's the PFL debut.
Yeah.
How does it feel to hear that?
It's interesting, obviously, with the PFL Bellator merger. When I signed the contract with both of them anyway. So we knew this was happening for a few years. So it doesn't feel like a debut in that regard. It just feels like another fight, mate. You know.
You said that. That's what I wanted to ask. Like it's technically a new banner, but it's not a new banner. There's new gloves. The gloves don't say Bellator on them this time.
Yeah, I assume all the back end staff will be the same and same processes and same, mate. Same.
That being said, that Bellator debut was made on such short notice. It was kind of just like all guns blazing, go, 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 Now that you've had that time to digest that fight, know that this is coming up, know these opportunities, how does it feel now? You're now on the world stage and you now have that moment to kind of think about it. How does it feel now? Joseph Luciano is fighting on the world stage.
It's funny you say that. I've already fought on the world stage as an amateur with the IMAF stuff. So it's like, maybe for a lot of people, if this was their first international exposure or experience, it'd be like, whoa. But, my last fight was in London, been fighting in Oz, fought in Singapore, fought in Africa, fought in the Middle East. It's not like a crazy thing. It's normality for me in a way. So, I just take it all in my stride and roll with the punches, as they say.
Has it, having that now time to actually digest it, as I said, the Bellator debut was on such short notice. How has it been to go through that? I know you said it's nothing particularly new, but still.
Look, fighting on 2 weeks' notice is never that fun. I was lucky I'd fought 2 weeks before, so I was fit. I was only training Muay Thai, though, for quite a while. So took a bit of a punt on that. It's nice to have pretty much a full camp for this. It takes the edge off a little bit. You can, do all the right things and tick all the right boxes and be in good shape, which is, it leaves a bit of confidence, a bit more confidence than the 2 weeks sort of roll of the dice.
Before we talk about the upcoming fight, we will talk about the Bellator fight. This is the first time I've seen you on an on-camera sense.
Yeah.
To go out there to only be training Muay Thai for so many weeks because you're having that Muay Thai fight, and to go out there and not just get a victory on 2 weeks' notice on the other side of the world, but to do it and get like a submission.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like?
It was pretty funny. I'm confident in my abilities. I've been doing this for so long, and even though I was, I would have said probably 90% of my training was Muay Thai for the 6 weeks before that fight. I still was grappling twice a week, just so the boys were still getting work in. So I knew, maybe my grappling skills hadn't been increasing in that time, but I was able to maintain them. So, when push came to shove and the opportunity was there, I was definitely confident that I had the squeeze to take it.
And not only did you take the victory, you took home the Southern Cross Combat Submission of the Year award. That's the last time I saw you was giving you that prestigious award. You've told me before about how titles live in your house and where they live. Where does that prestigious award live?
I'm not going to mention another famous organisation's belt, but yours is definitely on display, and that one is in the back of the cupboard somewhere. So
that's what I like to hear. You're a man who has ties to England. It's not too hard for you to get over there and such. Although you were fighting an English bloke, how was it? How did England treat you?
It was cool. I had all my cousins there, and my coach, my first coach, lives in Liverpool, and he came down. And I think any of the Anglophone nations, it's all pretty similar. Like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, England, America. We're all pretty much the same. There's a little bit of cultural intricacies, but the language and the cultures are all pretty similar. So to get there and eating the same food and seeing the same type of people, it felt like home. So,
have you ever been before?
Yeah. I used to live in England from, I think, 3 to 5 over there. So, core
memories from that period.
Yeah. like all my grandparents and everyone's a Pom, so I'm the first Aussie in the family, really.
Now, we've talked about the previous fight. We'll talk about the upcoming fight. You are fighting Thad Jean. How did this fight come your way?
So obviously after the Bellator thing, I really wanted to keep, get something quickly, and it didn't eventuate that year. So I'd been speaking to Reese about, trying to get on as soon as I can, and yeah, this opportunity came through. So yeah, it just sort of fell in my lap, and definitely want to take it.
Now, the word on the street, per sources, this wasn't the first name thrown your way. There was a bit of shifting with opponents.
Yeah.
How did you end up with Thad Jean?
I think the original opponent, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but contracts weren't signed, whatever that may be, injuries, whatever. Shit happens in this, industry. And then his name was put forward, so yeah, jumped on it.
What do you make of Thad Jean? You're now at a point now, as we talked about before, the world stage, even though we've talked about it before, when you have that experience at IMAF, you kind of get used to fighting people you don't really know.
Yeah.
But now you are at the world stage. It's not just knowing the local Aussies. Oh, I might need to fight him one day.
Yeah.
It's now like, I've never met this person or thought of them or heard of them. What do you make of Thad Jean?
I definitely keep my eyes peeled on anyone in the welterweight division in any of the organisations as I was coming up. Like to see what different guys are doing and how they're going about it. So I was aware of him, and his quality is he's got a heap of power, and he's 8-0, and he's confident, and he's a specimen. So it's going to be a great fight. Obviously, I see some flaws in him that I'm going to capitalise on. So yeah, confident, very confident.
What are the flaws?
I can't say that. Got to keep it secret, but yeah, there'll be some unexpected things to come about for sure.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Jumping back to the sub in Bellator, were you a black belt before that?
No, I'm not a black belt now.
So you didn't get a promotion for doing that.
I did. I was a purple belt. Yeah, purple to brown. I think maybe in the gym we'll have to put up a bit of a poll, but I might have been a blue belt for the longest here. I think Dan Herb's been one for 20 years. I think I was a blue belt for 12. So then I got my purple and brown within pretty short period of time. So yeah, Simo gave me the brown for that one, which was cool, submitting a black belt on Bellator. So yeah.
If submitting a black belt on 2 weeks' notice on the other side of the planet isn't enough to get the black belt, what do you think there is to do to get the black belt?
I don't know. I don't even know in this day and age what the black belt means. Like, I don't really do jiu-jitsu, man. I've probably worn a gi, I reckon, 6 times in my life. So am I doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu? I don't know. Am I doing submission wrestling? I would say so. Like, Simo doesn't actually give you a belt. He throws some of the old MA1 stock rash guards at you. I think I've got, I've got a purple and a brown of the 2008 merch. He threw at me and said, "There you go, mate." So it's a nice recognition. It's a nice thing to be able to tell casuals, yeah, I'm a black belt or a brown belt, and people go, "Oh, that means something." But results speak for themselves, It's a nice notch on the belt, but I'm not chasing it,
It's a vintage piece.
Yeah, it's a vintage. Yeah.
Something you said in the absolutely rave reviewed about the Absolutely Unnecessary podcast. It's a fantastic pod. After that fight, you were back on the pod after the win, and you talked about a feeling of maybe you felt that maybe you had been brought in to lose. Or maybe you had been underestimated. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah. Did you feel that you had been brought in to lose?
I didn't. Look, whenever you're brought in on short notice to your opponent's hometown, I would say that you're not the A side in this situation, to put it politely. I don't think it's a malicious thing like, hey, we want to bring this guy in to lose. It was, hey, is this guy available? Do you want to jump on it? Bang. But, it would have been beneficial for the home team if he had have won for sure.
To go from a fight like that and as you said, maybe there's nothing malicious about it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure that gives you a little bit of a chip to be like, oh, no, I've flown all the way and I'm here to fight.
I've always got a chip on my shoulder, mate. I love going into other people's hometowns or flying overseas and fighting. I've been doing that, for the best part of 10 years. So I've always got a chip on my shoulder, mate, So, yeah, that's nothing new.
Coming into this fight, you say there are things you see, you do feel confident. How big is the chip going into this one?
It's always lovely being a party pooper. So, I'm pretty sure he's from Florida. He'll have his family and friends there. And some fighters feel the pressure of that. For me, there can be no more pressure put on myself than what I do. So the added stuff, it's actually fuel. I always enjoy that.
And now I've been fortunate enough to be coming into Absolute a lot recently, talking to teammates of yours who are fighting. I will say, and this is a very light-hearted interview. I feel like we're both having a good time. But I saw you a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I would describe you as a man who was absolutely locked in, a man who was, I don't want to use the P word of possessed, but like you were not here to mess around. I know it was just before you went into training, but to me it feels like there may be a little bit of a different air around you heading into this one. I don't know if it's just the first time I've seen it. Does it feel any different? Do you feel a little bit more serious in this or anything like that?
That's so funny, Joel. Like, obviously we've spent a bit of time together and around the scene and all of that. You've probably only seen me in coaching mode or Joey hanging out mode. When I'm here to train, as soon as it gets to, say, a 10 o'clock session, 5 minutes before, the demeanor shifts, and it's a shift. And was it a Friday you were here?
Friday or a Thursday.
Yeah.
You're doing weights.
Yeah. So, that was a solo session by myself, right? Lifting weights. Like, as soon as I'm ready to train, I'm here to train, and I'm not. I enjoy myself, don't get me wrong, but I'm not here to fuck around, man. Like, this is my job. The consequences of this sport are grave, and I have been gifted an opportunity every time I fight to change my life. So I am very aware of the gravity of that, and my mentality is always being locked on when I'm training. Otherwise, what's the point, man? For me, I'm a do or die guy, all or nothing, and I love this. I really love this stuff. And while I have the time and ability to do it, I'm going to maximize it.
And I feel like that shows in your performances. I've been fortunate enough to be backstage once when you fought, and there's that same level of intensity.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like, it's go time. It's game on,
The Rainbow Zone. I talked just before about coming in and talking to teammates. I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. You guys are very welcoming. It feels like, I don't want to use like the word shift, but when we talked about before about you going to the world stage, you got Jack Jenkins in here. Offley's back and he's in the UFC now. And you talked about coaching mode. Who is kind of that next group of guys kind of coming up? Sarmad's just made his welterweight debut in MMA. Who is kind of the next group of guys? And now that you are, if I can use the V word of veteran a little bit, you're now kind of more the senior guy in the gym.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like, I started this when I was 16 and I've always been the young guy, and then looking around the gym and go, fuck, I reckon in maybe 4 years I'll be old enough to be some of these guys' dads that are coming through. So that's always a laugh. But it's funny. Obviously, you mentioned sort of Khan, Jack, myself that are at the top level. There's, and I'm going to talk about the welterweights. There's, Dylan, Sam, and Sarmad, and there's a lot of guys at the moment in this gym that are like that 1 to 5 fight pro MMA. They've done heaps of other stuff. So I think for those guys, this next 12 months, the guys that are like 5-1 or 5-0, 4-1, around that, 2 or 3 more wins puts them either on contenders, title shots on Hex, Eternal, Beatdown. So it's going to be a really big 12 months for the team, and everyone seems pretty locked in, and it's really cool. Like, I think Sarman's put himself at 4-1. Dill went 1-1. Sammy's 2-1. They each string 2 or 3 good victories together, and the world's their oyster. So from sort of the normal size guys, that's really brewing and about to pop. They just need to stay active and keep the body right and just take the opportunities when they come. So it's fucking exciting, man.
You describe them as normal sized. Who are the non-normal sized guys?
Say, featherweight's borderline normal. Anything below that, you're getting a little small. Yeah.
You mentioned Sarmad coming away with the victory on Beatdown. Did you watch Beatdown?
Yeah. I watched. I didn't go up. It was a little close to my fight. You know, it's the first time I've missed Dylan and Sarmad fight like that.
Is that weird?
It made me a little uncomfortable. I love being there for them, but I also hate it. It gives me a lot more stress than when I fight. And Sarmad took that on late notice, so it's always fucking bit of a coin flip. And Dill didn't get the win, so it sucked not being there, but I watched it, you know.
Did you watch the main event of Beatdown?
Yeah.
Jack James was the man you were booked to face prior to you going off to Bellator. What did you make of that fight of Jack James versus Blood Diamond?
Look, I think Jack's really good, and I don't want to take anything away from his performance. I was surprised how well Bloods fought. Like, he really came to fight, and he easily, you know, he's been on a bit of a loss streak. He's a UFC vet, right. He could have easily gone in there and, I'll have a crack and then fall over. But he fought really well. It would have been cool for James to get the finish. He was on his back a little bit. But, yeah, Bloods kind of exceeded expectations, and James did enough, you know. Did everything he had to get the win. I'm sure he would have loved to have gotten a finish, so probably a little bit disappointing for him.
I mentioned earlier about how now you've gone from the regional scene, and of course you can still look out for stuff for your teammates, but is there like a different feeling now where like you can look at welterweights in the regional scene and be like, I don't have to worry about fighting you. Like, I don't have to do the mental math of like, how would I match up? Like, is that just like a different thought process?
No, I've never really thought of it like that, man. I actually like MMA too. I'm interested in the fights and the characters and the scene. So I watch it from a fan's perspective as well as an athlete's perspective. I suppose now I look at it like, how does Sammy match up with him? How does Sarmad match up with him? How does Dylan match up with him? As opposed to myself. But you know, I still watch it and still check it out for sure.
We are not too long out from the fight, but it's not fight week.
Yeah.
So what does kind of the rest between now and fight day look like for you?
I'm still training as per usual, and last big push towards the end, and then taper off a little bit. Head out there next week. So with Sammy Boy out there, and then all the coaching staff will come over a few days later. So yeah, I'm just foot to the floor and doing everything I can to be as prepared as I can, leaving no stone unturned. Oh, yeah.
That's a good audio clip you just gave me. This fight is to be the 9th man.
Yeah.
So, meaning you a win here and then a pull out in the main tournament, you go in.
Correct.
Is there a limit to like how deep the tournament can go? Like, what if they make it to the final and the guy in the final can't fight? Do you just go like, I'm in?
Yeah, imagine that. Fuck, what a way to do the Stephen Bradbury, like at the end, everyone's all beat up and you just jump in and like, oh yeah, sick. To be honest, I've got no fucking idea how that works. It would be hilarious if like, quick win and then everyone else is beat up, hang out and then pit the guy at the post. I think that'd be, look, for 500k or whatever it is, fuck, you wouldn't say no, but that'd be pretty hilarious way to do it. But all I can do is look at what's in front of me, and obviously there's always plans for the future, but I'm consumed by the present. So yeah.
I will ask you a slight question about the future, but I understand that it's not something you've put a million thoughts into. A win here makes you now get into a point where like you kind of have to constantly stay ready. Are you just gonna like constantly camp and peak for the dates,
For sure.
hoping?
Yeah, so I don't mean to harp on about the amateur IMAF stuff, but the beauty of that was you would have a date and you would prep for that, never an opponent. And this is a similar thing. Like, I think they've released the dates, say it's, every 8 weeks. You go, okay, I'll prep for that date, and then maybe you get word on an opponent 3 weeks before, and then you can do some fight specific stuff for that. But as long as you are peaking at the right times, monitoring your load, and doing it intelligently, I think it's not too dissimilar to that 12-week or 8-week camp that people do for one guy.
Final question for me, Joey. I thank you so much for the time. This is not a question about you're a man who loves to fight. You're a man who's willing to fight. You're a man who went off and did Muay Thai for a little bit. Yep. I know this is not a question about contracts. Just I want to hear your general thoughts on it. Because PFL is meant to be coming to Australia. UFC obviously comes. And Bareknuckle is coming to Australia. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Bareknuckle fighting?
Fucking awesome, man. I like Bareknuckle MMA. I think that's really cool. The Bareknuckle boxing's sick. I would love it if they put elbows in there too. I reckon that'd save people's hands a little bit. I'm all for the Bareknuckle. I think it's going to be really interesting when maybe some pro boxers that haven't quite made it to the elite level do the Bareknuckle against elite level MMA guys. It'll be fucking interesting with the clinch stuff. Personally, I would, before I am done with this, whether I'm 60 or whatever this is, I want to fight Bareknuckle. Like, I've fought in the streets so many times, and I've actually broken my hands a few times. I really want to do a Bareknuckle fight, whether it's Lethway, Bareknuckle MMA, or Bareknuckle boxing. I think every fighter should do that one point in their life. Sanctioned, it's not good doing it on the streets. So yeah, that'd be cool. And plus the cuts, and it's just a whole different game, isn't it? So yeah, I reckon it's fucking sick. And hopefully they're fucking paying guys too. I hope, like you wouldn't want to do that for your normal wage, broken hands, 12 weeks, or fractured eye socket, or just the soft tissue damage. It's pretty serious, pretty hectic, but that's where the thrill and I think the entertainment factor of that comes.
What's the record in the streets?
Mate, undefeated.
Don't expect anything left. Joseph Luciano, I thank you so much for the time. Best luck in the fight. Safe travels over there. Safe travels back. Do you get to hang out afterwards, or are you coming straight home?
Yeah, I always take a couple of days after the fight, just because normally you're banged up, or the weight cut. It's fucking pretty hectic on your body. So, I like to take a couple of days and soak up the victory, and maybe have a few drinks, depending. So I know the UFC's the following week. A few of my mates are going to that after, so there'll be a few of us around. So yeah, it should be good, man. Like I've fought in the States, I think 5 times. So as an amateur, so I've been to America a lot, and it's similar to Oz, but it's a little bit different. So it's still cool to hang out and check the joint out for sure.
Joey, thank you so much for the time, my friend.
Appreciate it.